Susan, a wealthy heiress, has always been cherished by her 7 adopted brothers until the arrival of Zina Kurt, the daughter of their driver, who cunningly turns them against her. Heartbroken upon hearing her brothers confess their love for Zina, Susan makes the agonizing decision to sever her ties and marry Jim Shaw, a paralyzed heir. By the time her brothers uncover Zina's true nature, it's too late. Their once unbreakable family bond has been irreparably shattered. The following day, the brothers confront Susan, hurling insults and labeling her a traitor. Despite their accusations, she remains silent, hoping to walk away from the confrontation. Just then, Zina appears, feigning concern for the escalating situation. In a calculated act, she pretends to trip, creating the illusion that Susan has pushed her. The brothers rush to Zina's aid, completely dismissing Susan, who stumbles and falls, feeling deeply hurt and betrayed. As they turn against her, Susan watches in despair, realizing that the brothers who once loved her have now cast her aside in favor of their misguided loyalty to Zina. Susan is shattered, witnessing the brothers who once adored her now cast her aside with disdain. The humiliation weighed heavily on Susan as all her brothers harshly blamed her, their words cutting deep. Still on the floor, she struggled to bear the pain of their accusations. "I'm sorry, Susan," one brother shouted, but she could only respond, "I didn't do anything wrong." They continued, "Is it because you have everything and Zina has nothing?" The situation escalated when they mentioned the birthday gifts meant for Susan, now intended for Zina. Susan protested, but their eldest brother dismissed her, saying, "Stop being unreasonable. If it's a marriage you want, I promise to marry you." "No, please don't marry Susan," the others shouted. "She's a rich, spoiled kid. She'll only cause you trouble." Susan stood speechless, absorbing their rejection. Meanwhile, Zina feigned concern, wrapping her arms around the brothers and saying, "Please don't give up your love for me. I can kneel and apologize to Susan." Her false kindness dripped with malice. Overwhelmed yet resolute, Susan boldly declared, "Don't bother trying, I won't marry any of you." The room fell silent, shock etched on their faces. As she turned to leave, one brother grasped her hand, warning, "Don't regret this later." Susan pushed his hand away and walked off fearlessly, determined to reclaim her dignity. The next day at the auction, every item Susan bid on was maliciously targeted by Zina, who had the unwavering support of all 7 brothers. As Zina settled into the high table that rightfully belonged to Susan, Susan confronted her, demanding she get up. Zina complied, but the atmosphere was thick with tension as the bidding began. To Susan's dismay, the brothers placed a bid for a piece of jewelry worth 60 million, meant as a gift for Zina. The crowd murmured in disbelief at the sight of a wealthy heiress being overshadowed by the driver's daughter. When Zina received the jewelry, she feigned concern, asking if Susan would be angry about the gift. The brothers replied, "We love you, Zina. You're worth so much more than this." Inside, Susan felt shattered, her heart heavy with betrayal. In a cruel twist, Zina deliberately let the heirloom slip from her hands, watching it shatter on the floor. Susan rushed forward, tears streaming down her face as she gathered the broken pieces, crying out, "Why would you give the only heirloom my mother left for me to her? Have you forgotten all the promises you made to my late mom?" she implored, desperation in her voice. The brothers' hearts sank at her words, but the eldest replied coldly, "I've forgotten because it's been a long time." Susan stood there, broken and alone, as the reality of their betrayal sank in. Zina feigned concern for Susan, pretending to like her while secretly orchestrating her downfall. As the brothers turned their backs and left Susan helpless on the floor, she felt utterly alone. The next day, while in her room, Susan was shocked to hear a knock. When she opened the door, the brothers told her that Zina had saved one of them from a fire 8 years ago. Susan's heart sank. She knew the truth was that she had been the one to save him, not Zina. The following day, Zina confronted Susan, brandishing pictures and claiming that the brothers loved her more than Susan. "They will always choose me over you," she taunted. Undeterred, Susan replied, "One day, they will discover all the bad things about you and your manipulative ways." Just then, Zina spotted one of the brothers approaching and quickly slapped herself, pretending it was Susan who had hit her. The brother arrived, furious at Susan, and swept Zina away, leaving Susan heartbroken. On the day of Susan's wedding to an unknown wealthy CEO who had yet to arrive, she stood happily on stage with her father. Unbeknownst to her, the brothers were plotting to expose Susan to the crowd, ready to reveal the truth and shatter her moment of joy. In that tense moment, Susan saw through the brothers' deceitful act and pointed a finger at Xena and her adopted brothers, accusing them of leaking the video. Their faces fell, and the crowd gasped in surprise. Even Susan's wealthy father looked disappointed in the brothers for orchestrating such a hurtful stunt against his daughter, especially after all he had done for them. But rather than backing down, the brothers shielded Xena, taking all the blame on themselves. Susan stood there, realizing how foolishly they had been manipulated by Xena. With newfound courage, she boldly declared, "Don't get it twisted, I won't marry any of you." One of the brothers threatened her, saying, "If we don't marry you, no one will want you." Just then, the sound of a door opening caught everyone's attention. A voice rang out, "If you don't marry her, I will." Everyone turned to see a young and handsome wealthy CEO walking in, exuding confidence and charm, flanked by bodyguards. The crowd's eyes widened in shock as they realized the unexpected turn of events. The CEO approached her with a warm smile, saying, "I'm sorry I'm late." Susan returned his smile, feeling a renewed sense of hope and love blossoming within her. In a surprising gesture, he scooped her up and carried her away, leaving the rest of their families in stunned silence. Shock spread among those left behind as they processed the unexpected turn of events.